you should not be a person who's consuming the pot of gold. You should be a person who is constantly building the pot of gold. Apparently, the education system will always teach you to consume the pot of gold. It will tell you that Sanskar, go ahead, study this exam, pass this exam, so that you can actually get a little capture, or you could capture that little pot of gold. If something is efficient, it does not mean it's be all and end all of efficiency. So let's say I'll give an
Wow,
example. Uh,
interesting.
in 2014, 15, 13, we used to go on roads and wait for taxis or autos. We thought, okay, since taxis came, autos came, it's I think this is the most efficient thing we could have. We just have to go on the roads and wait, and hence that became our behavior and part of our lives, and that's why we never perceived it
Hmm.
as problem. So when you have this lens of thinking that how can I make the smaller thing efficient, right? Then you'll see that waiting for a cab is actually a problem. Then you'll end up creating an Uber and an Ola.
What do you see why the world right now is going so crazy over ChatGPT, and what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah. So if you see constantly see, right, the world runs on the law of efficiency. Every time there's an efficiency created, every time there's an efficiency, people get shocked and move towards it. So let's say when Zomato launched or Uber launched, they were shocked because it was something out of their ordinary behavior. And once people were shocked at it, they started using it more constantly and constantly. So they started using more consistently. So whenever you do something out of the ordinary behavior, you tend to shock people and you tend to challenge what they believe in. So let's say 4 years back, I told you that, hey, Sanskar, you know what? You can type like write an essay about Aarihant and it could actually write an essay. A machine could actually write an essay for you. You would be like, Aarihant, you're joking, or Aarihant, you're lying. But that's actually true now. So let's say you want to write an essay about something and it could take you an hour and 1.5 hour or 2 hours, but ChatGPT is taking seconds. That's the level of efficiency that's created. So whenever there is an efficiency that's created and people don't expect it, I mean, it's out of their league or out of their boundary or out of their expectation, people tend to talk about it, hence it causes virality. So let's think from a sport lens, right? Let's say India versus Pakistan, we won the match. We never expected that, but the level of efficiency that Kohli created, it caused virality. Everyone in the world will
Yeah.
literally talking about that. The Twitter went crazy. So the key to build virality is to create something efficient and create something which people did not expect. So that's why people are going crazy over ChatGPT.
So, what do you think? What will matter in the coming future? Like we are taught in colleges and schools, like get your marks, get your degrees, get your certificates.
Yeah,
We're not taught the actual skills.
yeah, yes. So I mean, I'll tell you something, right? I'll tell you a very interesting fact. The world runs behind pot of gold. Wherever there is gold, people just run after that. And gold is not limited to actual gold. Gold means whatever is valuable in the eyesight of people. For example,
Right.
tomorrow morning there's a post from government saying that there are opening for 1,000 railway jobs, and for 1,000 railway jobs you'll see 10 lakh people applying. Why is it? Because for many middle class people or people who come from humble backgrounds, a government job is perceived as gold, a place of comfort. So they'll constantly jump to that. True for JEE IIT exams, true for MBA's CAT exam, true for many, and true for urban
Yep.
living also. For many people come from rural places to urban places because they think there's a pot of gold and they can capture that. So what happens, right? So let's say there's a pot of gold. Let's say only we both are there in the pot of gold. We capture 50-50. Let's say there are a million people in pot of gold. No one gets nothing.
Right.
Actually, most of the people don't get anything. People who have come there first, the first mover advantage is there. They will capture
Yeah.
most of the gold, and the next 20-25% will get uh, like that's shared between a million people or 9 lakh people or something like that, right? So what happens is you should not be a person who's consuming the pot of gold. You should be a person who is constantly building the pot of gold. So
Interesting.
apparently, the education system will always teach you to consume the pot of gold. It will tell you that Sanskar, go ahead, study this exam, pass this exam, so that you can actually get a little capture, or you could capture that little pot of gold. But what humans are called for is something different. Humans are called to create pots of gold that will create huge number of opportunities and wealth for everyone. So Then again, so how do you discover your pot of gold? It's simple. Something that you're really mad about, something that you're really crazy about, something you would spend all your night working on it. Then, like, something that you're really obsessed about, right? And money doesn't matter for you there. uh, Time doesn't matter for you there. Something that you're really passionate about, you, that is your pot of gold. And even as you go deeper towards that pot of gold, you will find that one inefficiency in that pot of gold that you'll end up solving, and hence that will create more value, opportunities, and make the world a better place. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Going a bit deeper, can you elaborate how, like, the
Yeah.
audience listening to us right now, if they are college students going to school, how they
Yeah.
can work towards building their own pot of gold?
So good question. So I'll tell, right. I'm from a tier three college. Even I'm from Hyderabad. I come from a tier three college where I think we rarely spoke about startups, entrepreneurship, building companies, scaling things, helping people get employment. That's a foreign language to us altogether. Like we never spoke about this. But I think I think I'll be more relatable to all those guys from tier three, tier four colleges, tier two colleges, because I've been there. So when I got into the startup ecosystem, because I did not have a big credential, or I was never from a bigger college, uh, I barely knew anyone. Trust me, I barely knew anyone. I did not even know what was a minimum viable product. I did not know what was an MVP.
Okay.
Uh, but what happened was, uh, as of today, I almost know, have built relationships with all the great founders from across Indian startup ecosystem and across Southeast Asian startup ecosystem. Right, people know me, I know them. They contribute to our startup journey. I contribute to their startup journey, and that's only happening. It's because I did something extraordinary, something out of ordinary, right? I used to cold DM people. I started cold emails. A few cold emails were like, "Hey, since all the founders are crazy about one thing, Sanskar, if you know, they're crazy about building their product, making their product much efficient." So I used to keep taglines and DM headline like, "Hey, 9 things, 10 things that they could be better in your product," and hence give them a
Mm.
feedback about the product. That's a goal for them. And since they saw that, they reply, right? So that's one way to actually get started. So it's not like, hey, today I'm going to find my pot of gold, I immediately find one. No, first you have to connect to people,
Yeah.
talk to them, work with someone, try to understand their ideology, get on Twitter, get on LinkedIn, keep writing. You don't meet your pot of gold on day one. It will take time. It's a time taking process. It's like a forever process. So as you're constantly doing it, as you're still exploring the world, you'll find that one thing that you're extremely passionate about as a person. And once there's a theory called bus ticket collector. So people constantly go on buses and they keep collecting tickets. That's an insane
Hmm.
obsession of collecting things. Uh, and that will actually bring some foundation of the life. So the person has collected so many number of bus tickets that he knows everything about transport. He knows everything about how the bus works. And then suddenly he's going outside that zone and he finds, hey, I think buses can be made much more efficient. I think this is
Hmm.
something
Yeah.
flowing. So now when you find that one skill, you'll constantly keep collecting tickets of that skill. You'll constantly keep collecting experience of that skill. And there'll be one certain journey you say that, hey, I think I'm so much familiar with this. I think there can be something something better that can be done. And hence you will find your pot of gold and you'll start minting that pot of gold, and expanding that pot of gold. So there are people who find the pot of gold, take a bite from it, and just run away. For example, uh,
Okay.
let's say there are many podcasters in India. Don't want to name them, but they create podcasts and take a certain part of podcast market or viewership. And then there are creators who make podcasts interesting and grow the market size altogether. So those people are
Hmm.
called bus
Okay.
ticket collectors, right? Because they love doing it and that's their skill and they found their pot of gold. So if you are in some place and you're constantly increasing that pot of gold, it means you have found your pot of gold. If you're still capturing a pot of gold or a, a size in a pot of gold, I think you're doing it because you want to sustain yourself. It's more of a duty and responsibility for you. If you are a bus ticket collector, Then you're more about, hey, listen, I'm going to expand the size of the pot. I don't care about capturing the pot. I think this is what Zerodha did. Zerodha never captured the
Yeah.
market. They actually increased the market size. Yeah. One thing is they're insanely obsessed about it. No matter what people talk, no matter what people think, they'll still keep doing it. I've seen most of this behavior in sports people, dancers. They're insanely obsessed. So let's say today you're trolling, let's say in cricket, let's say you're trolling KL Rahul today. Uh, by tonight, he's not going to retire. He's insanely obsessed about cricket and he's going to continue irrespective of what people say. I think that's one trait I've seen. Second is the exponential growth, right? So when you're
Hmm.
constantly obsessed about something, your growth is not in a graph something like this. It's like this. It's a U. It's a hockey stick growth that happens when you have found your pot of gold. So that's one trait. The next is as I told you before, you increase the size of the pot of gold. You're not looking to capture the size in a pot. You're rather looking to increase the size of the pot. Yeah.
Do you feel that in order to create wealth, you should focus on a completely different industry, focus on something completely different, or there is scope where even the big players are there? There is scope for even further improvements, or as you said, expanding that pot of gold.
Yeah. So I'll tell you something about efficiency, right? I mean, whenever efficiency is created, the pot of gold, the size of the pot of gold increases. That's obvious. But I'll tell you something. If something is efficient, it does not mean be all and end all of efficiency. So let's say I'll give an example. Uh,
Interesting.
in 2014, 15, 13, we used to go on roads and wait for taxis or autos. We thought, okay, since taxis came, autos came, it's I think this is the most efficient thing we could have. We just have to go on the roads and wait, and hence that became our behavior and part of our lives, and that's why we never perceived it
Hmm.
as problem. So when you have this lens of thinking that how can I make the smaller thing efficient, right? Then you'll see that waiting for a cab is actually a problem. Then you'll end up creating an Uber and an Ola, because you understand that if something is efficient, it doesn't mean it's be all and end all of efficiency. Something greater can be done. So that mindset will just make everything around you efficient.
If someone has a, let's say, a wealth creation mindset, they want to
Hmm.
create wealth, they want to create their own pots of gold.
Hmm.
So, is it a good idea to just search for that pot of gold and work towards it, or just
Hmm.
keep following your practices, keep following your ideas, and eventually
Hmm.
you'll find the pot of gold?
So I mean, if you're getting started, right? I mean, of course, irrespective of where we are in life, we have one insane obsession, and we are always collecting something that we love from that. Uh, and it can be the most insignificant thing to the world, but you still don't care about what people think. You always have that. Recognize that one thing and constantly pursue that. And even as you're pursuing, you're getting into startup, you're exploring the world. Whatever that you're insanely obsessed about, try to work in that space under someone or with someone
Hmm.
and build your competency and go deeper into that, right? Try to, so you only find an anomaly when you go deeper. So you will understand what is that anomaly when you go deeper. And once you're working with them, you'll understand, okay, this is the inefficiency. And since I'm insanely obsessed about this, I have to solve this. And you end up creating a lot of efficiency and hence you create wealth. So what I know, right, with all the founders I've seen, with all the stories I've read, with all the companies I've seen, most of the people who create wealth are the creators of efficiency. So you create
Okay.
efficiency, you attract wealth, because efficiency is a currency that is exchanged between people and people, right? So you give
Hmm.
efficiency, someone is
Interesting.
giving their wealth back to you. That's how it works.
Interesting. So let's talk about you now. I was reading that
Okay.
you launched a startup straight after college without any
Okay.
experience of working at any other company. So why was that?
Yeah. I wish I never did it. I wish I worked with a company that solves in SMB segment or fintech segment. But I think it was more of an adrenaline rush to solve that problem. It's to was to create a credit score for a business. I think no business in India, even now, they don't have a credit score uh, of their own. Consumers have their own credit score, and I really wanted to solve the problem. And as I told, right, when I got the idea, I did not even know what was a MVP, or I did not know what is beta alpha testing. I did not know. I didn't even build a tech product in that. but I really wanted to solve the problem. And once I got to learn that, and also to my greatest knowledge, I never went and saw how to build a tech company. I went on to Y Combinator and saw how they build companies. So when you watch videos like that, you'll constantly think, okay, this is how I should build company. This is how I should get started.
Hmm.
So that's how I got started. As simple as that. I wanted to solve that problem very badly, and hence I just got into it. I think most of my learning came from a lot of YouTube videos, watching a lot of founders talk, Y Combinator's content, uh, and a lot of venture funds content is also good. So that helped me. And and they never tell you that in all those contents, they never tell you that work somewhere, Arihant, and then come build a company. They never tell that. They tell you how to build a company. And since I watched that content, since I was influenced by that, I just went ahead and built that.
You said you wish that you hadn't launched your company without any prior experience. So why
Yeah.
is that? You found any difficulties? You realized some things?
Okay. So I'll tell you a simple thing from animal behavior. So have you heard instances where a lion or tiger is sitting and people still walk around it and it still does not hunt?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happens is animals have a tendency to hunt. So there's a formula. They think the energy they spend to hunt versus the energy they earn after hunting has to be net positive in nature. Okay.
Got
Now,
it.
what
Yeah.
happens is if you are someone who's never built a startup before and you're going out of college, the energy spent to launch a startup and make money is higher, and the energy you earn will be net negative because it will take you 3 years to figure out, 3.5 years to figure out. Then you'll start reaping whatever it is, and you'll feel, boss, is this enough? Is this what I wanted? And this is net positive in terms of impact, in terms of learning, in terms of currency. Okay. But I'll tell you a better thing. You out of college, you go and you work in an area that you're interested in. Take an undercut, underpay if you want. Work at a very small company. That's also sure. That's also fine. But you're working somewhere. Now you're familiar with all the processes. You work for 2 years. You know everything. You know how to build a company. You know how to launch a product. You know how to build a strategy. You know how to solve for retention. You know how to solve for engagement. You know how a consumer thinks. You know everything. Now you build in a similar space. Since you are familiar with the process, the energy spent is much lesser now. What you should take you 2x of energy will only take you 0.5x, and you launch sooner. You'll launch sooner. You'll create efficiency sooner, and the reward that is earned will be much higher then. So you'll be net positive that time.
But don't you feel that having the knowledge of how the customer works, how having the knowledge of how this works, how that works,
Yeah.
having all this theory without having to try it with your product or with your startup is of no use eventually?
I think you can't build your vision until you work for someone's vision. Like as simple as it is. In India, many people have ego saying that, hey, I don't like to work under this person. I don't like to be someone's gulam and all this, all filmy dialogues. Everyone says it, but they don't understand. It's how you perceive it, right? If you have this mentality of working under someone, that's how you'll be. But you need to have a mentality of working with someone. So when you're having a mentality of working with someone, you automatically take same ownership as the founder takes. And once you take that ownership, you'll not just be the product person. You'll get into design, you'll get into customer support, you'll get into operations, you'll get into marketing, you'll get into everything because you have this mindset of working with the person, not under the person. So if you're working under the person, you're constantly being a yes man and taking instructions but not taking ownership. It's more of a duty for you. It's not a responsibility. So once you have this mindset of, okay, I'm working with this founder towards this vision, I'm working with the founder to solve this vision or to get to there, then you'll take ownership. Sometimes you'll take more ownership than the founder.